Men, let's have a brutally honest conversation. One that many people are too polite to voice but desperately need to hear. The truth is, too many men are sabotaging their relationships with women, and worse, they don't even realize it. These missteps aren't just small errors, they're relationship landmines that blow up trust, respect, and even passion. And before you rush to dismiss this as just another feminist lecture or more noise about gender dynamics, let's get real. Understanding women isn't rocket science, but ignorance will cost you big time. Here's the kicker. Society bombards men with conflicting messages about how to behave with women. One moment you're told to be assertive, the next to tread lightly. You're encouraged to show your feelings, but also taught to man up. No wonder many men feel like they're walking a tightrope, but the stakes are high. What you say and do can deeply affect how a woman sees you, feels around you, and ultimately whether she wants to stick around. This isn't about becoming perfect or bending over backward to please anyone. It's about self-awareness, mutual respect, and making deliberate choices that strengthen connections instead of eroding them. Whether you're dating, married, or just trying to foster healthy interactions with women in your life, this guide will call out 5 critical mistakes to avoid. Behaviors that can derail even the strongest relationships if left unchecked. Consider this your wake-up call. It's not just about avoiding drama or hurt feelings, it's about building the kind of respect and connection that leads to deep, meaningful relationships. Are you ready to learn the unvarnished truth? Are you open to challenging some of your habits or assumptions? Then buckle up, because this isn't going to be your typical play it safe advice. In the next sections, we'll tackle 5 critical mistakes men often make with women, and more importantly, how to fix them. These truths may sting a little, but they'll set you free to build stronger, more authentic relationships. Let's get started. 1. Never ignore her emotional needs. Let's get one thing straight. Women are wired differently emotionally, and that's not a weakness, it's a superpower. But here's the shocking truth. Many men are failing spectacularly at understanding this, and it's costing them their relationships. When you ignore her emotional needs, you're sending a very clear, very harmful message. I don't see you, and I don't value what's important to you. And make no mistake, even the strongest woman, emotionally or mentally, needs to feel heard, seen, and valued. You might think being emotionally distant or dismissing her feelings makes you seem tough, but in reality, it comes off as cold, disconnected, and completely unattractive. Let's break it down. Women crave connection, and for many, that connection begins with communication. It's not just about chatting aimlessly, it's about really hearing her. This means putting down the phone, turning off the game, and showing her that her thoughts, dreams, and struggles matter to you. A word of caution here. You might think being a fixer is the way to her heart. You hear a problem and boom, you're jumping in with a solution. Stop that. Sometimes she's not looking for a solution. Sometimes she just wants to be heard. When you listen, don't just nod and zone out. Ask questions, validate her feelings, and let her know you're with her in that moment. Ignoring her emotional needs doesn't just hurt her. It can backfire on you in ways you won't expect. Disconnection breeds resentment, and before long, you'll find a wall where there once was a bridge. You'll wonder why the spark is gone or why she's more withdrawn. But the truth is, you neglected to nurture the emotional bond that sustains a relationship. If you want a lasting, meaningful connection, you need to show up emotionally. Women are perceptive. They pick up on indifference. By making the effort to meet her emotional needs, you're not just keeping her happy. You're growing as a partner and a person. So stop sweeping emotions under the rug. Get real, get vulnerable, and watch how much stronger your connection becomes. Trust me, this is a game changer. 2. Stop competing with her. Listen closely. A relationship isn't a battlefield where you're trying to outshine or one-up the woman you're with. But far too often, many men fall into this trap, subtly or blatantly competing with the very person they're supposed to support. Let me tell you, it's toxic, and it will unravel even the strongest connection. This behavior shows up in many forms. Did she land a promotion? Instead of celebrating her win, you feel the need to boast about your own achievements. Did she express her opinion during a discussion? Suddenly, it becomes a debate you're determined to win. This constant need to assert dominance sends one loud and clear message. You're insecure, and that insecurity is bleeding into your relationship. Women thrive in relationships where they feel celebrated, not overshadowed. If you can't genuinely cheer for her victories, what message are you sending? That her success threatens you. That she needs to dim her light for you to feel brighter? Here's a hard truth. No woman worth her salt is going to stick around for that energy. Healthy relationships thrive on mutual respect and collaboration, not ego-fueled competition. So here's your wake-up call. Stop treating her like your rival. You're not on opposing teams. If she's winning, guess what? You're winning too. Relationships are about partnership, two people building something greater together, not pulling it apart by trying to prove who's better. And let's address the elephant in the room. Societal conditioning might make you feel like you always have to be on top. But real strength isn't about being superior. It's about being secure enough to uplift your partner without needing to shrink her in the process. When you stop competing and start celebrating her, you unlock a new level of intimacy and connection. She'll feel safe, valued, and loved, and trust me, that energy will flow back to you tenfold. So put your ego aside. Be her biggest cheerleader, her rock, and her confidant, not her competition. Because when you root for each other, you're not just winning individually, you're building a life together. And that, my friend, is the ultimate win. 3. Don't assume you know better. Let's talk about a subtle but destructive habit many fall into without even realizing it, the assumption that you know better. It might not be something you say out loud, but it shows in your actions, your tone, and the way you respond to her ideas, choices, and opinions. It's that quiet, unspoken belief that you've got things figured out in a way she doesn't. And it's a fast track to frustration and disconnection. Women don't need you to be a savior or a guide. They need you to be a partner. When you assume you know better, you're not just undermining her intelligence. You're also silencing her voice. And that silence speaks volumes about the lack of respect brewing underneath. No one wants to feel dismissed or belittled, especially by the person who's supposed to have their back. This mindset doesn't come from a place of malice. It's often rooted in outdated societal expectations. Men have historically been told they need to lead, to make decisions, to know the way. But here's the reality. Women are navigating their own journeys just as effectively, if not better, in some areas. A strong man knows how to step aside and let his partner shine in her own wisdom and abilities. You might think you're helping when you push your perspective or take control of a situation, but it can come across as patronizing. Nobody appreciates being treated like their contributions or thoughts are less valid. What women appreciate most is someone who trusts in their capabilities and isn't afraid to learn from them. Respect her mind, her decisions, and her insight. If she sees a problem differently than you do, don't rush to correct her. Take a moment to listen and consider. If she's choosing a path you wouldn't, remind yourself, it's not your journey to dictate. Supporting her choices isn't about abandoning your perspective, it's about valuing hers equally. When you stop assuming you know better, you'll discover how much you can learn from her. And more importantly, she'll feel deeply respected, supported, and safe to fully express herself in your relationship. That's how trust grows, and that's how lasting bonds are built. 4. Avoid toxic masculinity in decision-making. Let's address something that some men might not want to hear but need to. Toxic masculinity has no place in a healthy relationship. Before you dismiss this as some trendy buzzword, take a moment to reflect. If your decision-making revolves around dominance, control, or dismissing her voice, you're not leading the relationship, you're undermining it. Here's the problem. Too many men cling to the outdated belief that they need to call all the shots. You might not even realize it, but when you push her opinions aside, dismiss her concerns, or insist that your way is better, you're creating a power dynamic that stifles partnership. Relationships are not about being the boss. They're about collaboration, mutual respect, and making choices together. Criticism time. If you find yourself thinking, I have to make the big decisions because she can't, it's time to wake up. That's not strength. That's insecurity disguised as control. Women are more than capable of contributing equally to decisions, whether it's about finances, family, or even where to eat. A man who fears relinquishing control isn't showing leadership. He's showing fragility. Here's the advice you need. Shift your perspective. Leadership in a relationship isn't about being in charge. It's about fostering an environment where both voices are valued and respected. True strength isn't found in control. It's found in vulnerability and trust. When you allow her to contribute equally, you're not giving up power, you're sharing it. And that creates a deeper, more fulfilling connection. Take a step back and ask yourself, am I dismissing her input because I think I know better, or because I'm afraid of losing control? If the answer stings, that's a good thing. Growth often begins with uncomfortable truths. The best decisions in a relationship come from a place of collaboration. When you trust her insight and include her in the process, you're building a relationship that thrives on mutual respect and understanding. The days of outdated, one-sided decision-making are over. It's time to evolve and step into a version of masculinity that empowers both of you. Wake up. The stronger your partnership, the stronger you'll both become. 5. Never make her feel like an afterthought. Here's the truth. Relationships are built on presence and attention, not on scraps or leftovers. Too many of you are caught up in your own world, and while that's okay in moderation, it's damaging when it spills over into how you treat the woman in your life. If she's constantly feeling like she's an afterthought or just another part of your to-do list, the bond will wither, and so will the intimacy. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking I'm doing everything else right, so she should be happy. But showing up for her consistently and making her feel prioritized isn't just about doing the big things. It's in the small acts, the daily gestures, the I'm thinking of you texts, the attention you give her when she's speaking, when she needs help, when she's sharing her day. It's about being there, not only physically, but emotionally and mentally as well. Men, if you're putting everything else before her, whether it's work, your hobbies, or your friends, you're unconsciously communicating that she's secondary in your life. That might not be your intention, but intention isn't always enough. It's what you show through actions that really speaks. Relationships are about feeling important to the person you're with. If she's constantly fighting for your attention or fighting for space in your busy schedule, she'll soon feel disconnected. And once that emotional gap starts to grow, it'll be harder to close. Criticism. Some men think that the big gestures, buying expensive gifts or surprising her with a weekend getaway, are all they need to do to prove they care. Wrong. Those gestures are great, but they shouldn't be used as a substitute for day-to-day emotional investment. When you make her feel like she's in the background, either because you forget important dates, cancel plans, or don't engage with her emotions, you're not showing love, you're showing neglect. So here's the wake-up call. Prioritize her every day. Be present. Ask her how she's doing, what's on her mind, what she needs, and really listen. When you genuinely make her feel like she matters, not just when it's convenient for you, but always, you'll notice the change. You'll see the closeness grow, the trust deepen, and the love flourish. Make sure she knows that she's more than just an item on your checklist. She's a priority, and when she feels that way, the relationship will reach heights you've never thought possible. Here's the most controversial thing I'll say all video. If you're a man who's still treating women like they exist to serve your needs and ego, don't be surprised if you find yourself alone in the long run. You can't win someone's heart by neglecting their emotional world, competing with them, or ignoring their voice. Relationships are about respect, balance, and mutual growth. So now I want to hear from you. Share your experiences in the comments below. I'll be reading and reaching out to connect. Let's have an honest conversation about this. Let's grow together.